Chapter 603. Lin Jiyun happily selected a beautiful crystal brooch from the boss's counter. The price of this brooch in the mall was 599 yuan, which was 600 yuan. Therefore Yang Ming had won 600 yuan with 10 yuan. What else do you want? Yang Ming weighed the dart in his hand and asked Lin Jiyun. The boss of the dart stall was sweating. Sure enough, this guy is a fierce person. He let his girlfriend choose anything. That air humidifier is good. I want it. Lin Jiyun saw that Yang Ming was so powerful, so she simply pointed at the prize of 8 darts. Okay. But what if my hand trembles and I get 10 darts? Yang Ming joked. Then you can only get another crystal. Lin Jiyun also smiled happily. Ugh. That little brother. You wait a minute. The boss of the dart stall quickly stopped Yang Ming, who was about to throw the dart. He said, "Little brother, can we discuss it?" Discuss what? Yang Ming frowned. He thought that the boss couldn't afford it and wanted to ask him to stop. If so, Yang Ming wouldn't listen to him and would complain to the temple fair management office. Little brother, look. Doesn't your girlfriend like that humidifier? I will give her one. It doesn't matter if you throw the dart well or not. The boss of the dart stall wanted to reduce the loss as much as possible, so he took the initiative to let Yang Ming choose the humidifier. Otherwise he would have to pay another crystal. What do you think? Yang Ming turned and asked Lin Jiyun. Lin Jiyun nodded. Yang Ming said, "Well, you take the humidifier." The boss breathed a sigh of relief. This humidifier only cost more than 100 yuan. It was much cheaper than the crystal. He got a big bargain. After getting the humidifier, Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun left the entertainment street. The game coins were spent. Naturally, they wouldn't stay here. After eating some snacks with Lin Jiyun at the snack street, Yang Ming received a call from his mother. "Big Ming, come back and take a look at your father." Just now, factory manager phone called him again. "Your father is sitting there alone. I tried to talk to him, but he didn't respond to me. I'm afraid that he might be sick." Mother Yang worriedly said. "I know, I'll be back in a while." Yang Ming sighed and said. How could he not know what his father was worried about? After hanging up the phone, Lin Jiyun noticed that Yang Ming seemed to have something to do, so she asked, "Yang Ming, is there something wrong with your family? Let's go back first. Anyway, we're almost done here. Besides, it's not convenient for us to go shopping with so many prizes." "Alright, I'll send you back first." Yang Ming nodded. He was also very worried about his father. His father wasn't young anymore. Sometimes people at this age tend to take things too hard and have a serious illness. Yang Ming didn't want anything to happen to his father. Filial piety came first. Although he was happy with Lin Jiyun, these things were nothing compared to his father's matters. "It's okay. If you have something, you can go first. I can go back by myself." Lin Jiyun said. "There are so many things. It's not easy for you to carry them yourself. Let me send you back. It's not far from your home." As Yang Ming said this, he reached out and stopped a taxi. "Ha, Brother Yang, it really is you." When the car stopped, Sun Kuan poked his head out from the driver's seat. "Do I look like you from afar? So I came in your direction." Turned out to be Brother Kuan. Yang Ming was a little surprised. "I was wondering. There are pedestrians near the temple fair. It's not easy to drive. There are very few taxis. I just saw you and came over. Turns out that you saw me. Get in the car." While Sun Kuan was talking, he looked at the girl next to Yang Ming in surprise. Why did he change to another one? Zhao Ing Chen Mengyan Zhou Jiejia. How many people is this Brother Yang stepping on? However, it was just a thought. Before he understood Lin Jiyun's identity, Sun Kuan didn't dare to talk casually. After getting in the car, Yang Ming simply introduced Sun Kuan and Lin Jiyun to each other. He didn't say much. Yang Ming was also afraid that Lin Jiyun would be embarrassed. After all, the relationship between the two people was more troublesome to introduce. When they came to Lin Jiyun's door, Yang Ming said to Sun Kuan, "Brother Kuan, wait for me. I will be back soon." "No problem." Sun Kuan nodded and said. After getting out of the car, Yang Ming sent Lin Jiyun back to the door and said, "I won't go in. Help me tell Auntie Shen that I have something to do at home." Lin Jiyun nodded and said, "If you have something to do, you can go back first." "And oh yeah, Jiyun," Yang Ming suddenly turned to look at Lin Jiyun. "Oh yeah, I suddenly thought of a good idea." "What good idea?" Lin Jiyun looked up at Yang Ming inexplicably. "It's the solution to the problem that you asked me before." Yang Ming smiled. "What good idea did you think of?" Lin Jiyun's face was slightly red. She suddenly knew what Yang Ming was talking about. It must be the problem of what to do after being exposed as a fake couple. It's very simple. Let's turn the act into reality, Yang Ming said seriously. Turn the act into reality? Lin Jiyun looked at Yang Ming in amazement. Yeah, if you really become my girlfriend, wouldn't these problems be solved? Yang Ming smiled and pinched Lin Jiyun's face. It was unspeakably ambiguous. Lin Jiyun looked at Yang Ming in a daze. He was somewhat overwhelmed. What is he talking about? Isn't this a joke? But how can a joke be made like this? It's too outrageous. Turn the act into reality? Be his girlfriend? But what about Qin Mengyan? Really, you can even make this kind of joke? Lin Jiyun shook her head. When she looked up again, Yang Ming had already gone far away. Yang Ming returned to the taxi. His mouth was full of smiles. Is this a confession? I wonder what Lin Jiyun will think? Yang Ming wasn't in a hurry to know the answer. He wanted to give Lin Jiyun some time to consider it carefully. Yang Ming seized this good opportunity and told Lin Jiyun about it. Today he really felt Lin Jiyun's heart. Lin Jiyun should have feelings for him, so Yang Ming decided to take the initiative. Just now she was... Sun Kun asked curiously. How should I say? The relationship is a bit complicated. Yang Ming shook his head and said, she can be considered as my girlfriend. I really don't understand the feelings of you young people. I'm old. I can't do it. Sun Kun was a bit confused. What do you mean by considered? Seeing that Yang Ming seemed to have some difficulties, Sun Kun didn't ask more. Yang Ming also changed the topic and talked about the incident of the taxi driver that day. When Sun Kun heard the car number, he scolded, that guy. He is such a disgrace to the taxi driver. He is notorious in the industry, but he seems to have disappeared in the past 2 days. It is said that someone notified him and he was targeted by the traffic police. I didn't see him at the train station or other places. Yang Ming found it funny. It seems that Qin Fei's colleague that I met that day must have notified him. This guy is unlucky. Back at home, Yang Ming saw his father smoking on the sofa. He sighed, then came to his side and sat down. Dad, what's wrong? Big Ming, you're back. Yang Dahai looked up and said with a bitter smile, Dad is fine. You don't have to worry about it. Go and play in your own room. Dad, are you reluctant to part with the Songjiang bus factory? You don't want to see it go bankrupt? Yang Ming shook his head and said very seriously, this. Yang Dahai hesitated, then nodded slowly. Big Ming, I am indeed a little reluctant. After all, your dad has worked here for more than 20 years. He has seen the bus factory go from glory to decline. If the factory closes down, don't mention how uncomfortable it will be in his heart. Dad, what kind of person is factory manager Feng? Why do so many factories go bankrupt? Yang Ming continued, isn't it because of these factory managers' inaction? Inaction is considered good. There are even some who fill their own pockets and empty the factory. How can it not go bankrupt? Big Ming, I don't dare to say about others, but factory manager Feng is definitely a good factory manager. Yang Dahai said excitedly, old Feng was the workshop director when I first joined the job. I watched him get to the position of factory manager. You see, old Feng has been a factory manager for so many years. His house is still the same as ours with 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. The factory's profits weren't good, so he sold his car. Well, let's not talk about him. Yang Ming waved his hand. These things on the surface didn't explain anything. Yang Ming just said it casually. Now he just wanted to see his dad's thoughts. Dad, what do you think are the drawbacks of the factory now? Drawbacks? How should I say it? There are some words that I shouldn't say, but since you asked, I will talk to you. Yang Dahai said, factory manager Feng is a good person, but he doesn't know how to reform and innovate. When he understands this, it is already too late. The factory has no funds and it has to bear such a large staff expense. How can it be reformed? Chapter 604. Although everyone understands this truth now, no one mentioned it at the time, including your father. I didn't think of any reform and innovation at that time. Yang Dahai said with shame, at that time the factory was so prosperous. The supply of cars couldn't meet the demand. Who would have thought that there would be today? Dad, there is no right or wrong in this. You don't have to blame yourself too much. Yang Ming comforted, the system and economic development at that time were the same. All factories are the same. However, do you think that if the factory is reformed now, it can reverse the current situation? Yes, it definitely can. Yang Dehai nodded heavily. Factory manager Feng has contacted several imported car companies. He can entrust us to produce some of the parts, but we have to build the production line ourselves. Well, I will think about it. Yang Ming said after a moment of hesitation. Big Ming, what do you mean by think about it? Do you want to invest in the factory? Yang Dehai said, don't be impulsive. Although I don't want to see the factory go bankrupt, it isn't something that can be solved with your money. I know that production line. It can't be done without 30 million. Hehe. Yang Ming smiled and said, of course I know, but Dad, you can rest assured. I won't be so impulsive. Yang Ming now had nearly 400 million US dollars. Investing in the bus factory was really a piece of cake. However, Yang Ming had to do a comprehensive investigation of the bus factory before the investment. If there was really an investment prospect, then there was no harm in investing. Anyway, the money was just sitting there. It was better to let the money make more money. Could also make his father happy. Yang Ming could also understand his father's mood at the moment. Since he started working at the Songjiang bus factory, he had contributed half of his life to the factory. He had a deep relationship with the factory. If the factory went bankrupt, his heart would definitely not feel good. Now his son Yang Ming had the ability and opportunity to save the factory. Even if the opportunity was very slim, Yang Dehai still had some expectations. However, reason told him that his son's money belonged to Lu Weishan. He couldn't use it for himself. After patting his father's shoulder, Yang Ming returned to his room and called Ho Jinhan directly. Big Mark, I am Yang Ming. Yang Ming said, Brother Yang, what's the matter? Ho Jinhan gave a short and direct answer every time. However, Yang Ming liked his straightforward tone. Although he could also call Bao Sanli always talked to him for a long time, which made Yang Ming feel that it was a bit of a waste of time. Help me investigate the director of the Songjiang bus factory, Feng Wanjiang, and see what this person's character is like. Yang Ming instructed, then see what he has been doing recently. Report to me. Understood, Brother Yang. Is there anything else? Ho Jinhan replied. No, that's all, Yang Ming said and hung up the phone. Just as he hung up Ho Jinhan's call, another call came in. However, when Yang Ming glanced at the caller ID, his eyes suddenly shrunk. The call was actually from Fong Tian. The number was Fong Tian's house phone number. Is it Yang Ming? When he picked up the phone, he heard Fong Tian's voice. Old man Fong, are you back? Yang Ming said with some surprise. And I just came back. Fong Tian said faintly, just now I saw you send the girl from the Lin family home. I wanted to call you, but who knew that you would leave so quickly and disappear after getting in the car? Sweat. Then you could have called me. Yang Ming broke into a sweat. Forget it. It's the same to say it on the phone. Fong Tian said faintly, get ready. Go abroad with me on the 4th day of Chinese New Year. Is there any problem? What? Go abroad? Yang Ming really suspected that there was something wrong with his ears. Old man, are you mistaken? You want to take me abroad? Yes, I will take you to experience it. I helped you to take a mission. Fong Tian said, if there is no problem, then get ready. But I don't seem to have a passport yet, right? Asked Yang Ming. We are going to kill someone. Do you want to leave something on the entry and exit record? Said Fong Tian. Illegal immigration? Asked Yang Ming. Yes, by water. Fong Tian said. How many days? Asked Yang Ming. About 10 days. Fong Tian smiled. It mainly depends on your level. Hey, I got it. Yang Ming felt that his breathing was a bit rushed. Fong Tian actually took me out for a mission. In other words, this time I am really stepping into the assassin industry. Going abroad to kill someone? It was exciting to think about it, but Yang Ming's heart was not very dark after all, so he asked, who are you killing? A drug dealer. Fong Tian said, don't worry, I won't let you kill the innocent. Only then did Yang Ming hang up the phone in relief. If he was asked to kill an innocent person, he really couldn't do it. However, it was a bit difficult to explain to his parents during his disappearance. It seemed that he could only lie and say that he went to the company. Ho Jinhan's efficiency was very fast, but this was also thanks to his current identity. He could directly understand Feng Wanjiang's situation by calling a few people in Songjiang City who had a good relationship with Feng Wanjiang. Although these people had a good relationship with Feng Wanjiang, in the face of Ho Jinhan's inquiry, who dared to hide anything? If there was anything they would say it directly. Who knew if Ho Jinhan had a grudge with Feng Wanjiang? The other party was the underworld boss. Who dared to offend him? These people also truthfully evaluated Feng Wanjiang's character. However, this was not the end of it. Ho Jinhan could actually find the colleagues of Feng Wanjiang's son, Feng Chuan, in a short time and inquire about Feng Chuan's situation. Brother Yang, this Feng Wanjiang is very upright. People who know him say that he is more serious in his work. Moreover, he is in contact with several foreign automobile groups. It seems that he wants to discuss a business. It's just that the funds are insufficient. He has discussed the issue of financing with many people, but these people know that the factory is useless without a large amount of funds, so they are waiting. Ho Jinhan said, however, Feng Wanjiang's son Feng Chuan is quite interesting. Oh? What's wrong? Yang Ming suddenly became interested. Feng Chuan once drank too much in the unit. He complained to several colleagues in the same department. He said that his father's brain was short-circuited. He didn't know how to make money, but he also used his family's savings to pay for the workers' expenses. He and his mother were so angry that they wanted to cut ties with him. Ho Jinhan said, "Really?" Yang Ming was stunned. "Is this Feng Wanjiang really like what my father said?" It's probably true because the colleagues saw it. Feng Chuan is very careful in his daily life. He doesn't look like a child from a cadre family. It seems that Feng Wanjiang doesn't give him any subsidies. Ho Jinhan said, "I got it. Big Ho, you did a good job." Yang Ming nodded. "Brother Yang, you're too polite. This is what I should do." Ho Jinhan said, "Right, Brother Yang, are you interested in the Songjiang bus factory?" Hehe, you saw it? Yang Ming didn't hide it because he and Ho Jinhan didn't need to hide it. "It's not me. It's a little brother who works for me who saw it." Ho Jinhan said, "This kid is very clever. He is a good material for business. I am going to promote him to the company's marketing manager." Yang Ming's heart moved. This kid isn't simple. He actually saw my intentions from my investigation. So he said, "What is the character of this kid?" "His character is good. He is a brother in the underworld. He climbed up from the bottom and knows the rules." Ho Jinhan quickly said, "Brother Yang, if you want to use him, you can rest assured." I said that he is clever. I think you are not bad. I haven't said a few words and you saw my intentions. Yang Ming suddenly smiled. Brother Yang is joking. Ho Jinhan smiled honestly. "Okay, you help me to train this kid. If possible, I will put him in an important position." Yang Ming said, "Don't worry, Brother Yang." Ho Jinhan nodded. Hanging up the phone, Yang Ming sighed in relief. Feng Wanjiang was a problem for him. He had been operating in the Songjiang bus factory for more than 20 years. His relationships were complicated. Even if he invested in the bus factory, he couldn't completely remove his position. There were still many things that he needed him for. Chapter 605. In terms of technology, Feng Wanjiang obviously knows more than me, so I will let him be in charge of this. In terms of management, I can use my own people. The person recommended by Ho Jinhan is good. I can consider it. My father will be in charge of the overall situation. Thinking of this, Yang Ming confirmed his idea. Well, since my father likes it, why not let him do something big? "Dad, I want to talk to you." Yang Ming opened the door and said to his father who was sitting on the sofa. "Oh." Yang Dahai was stunned. He looked at Yang Ming strangely. "Big Ming, are you saying that you have something to say to me?" "Is that? Come to my room." Yang Ming said. "What's the matter? Why are you being so mysterious? What can't you say in the living room?" Although Yang Dahai said so, he still stood up and walked to Yang Ming's room. Yang Ming decided to confess some of his own things to his father this time. It was time. Now, in the eyes of his parents, there was a world of difference between the past and him. Moreover, this time, Yang Ming mainly wanted to tell his father about Lan Ling's matter. No matter what, Yang Dahai was his father. Lan Ling, as one of his women, couldn't always live in a state that couldn't be exposed, right? Although Lan Ling didn't ask for anything, if she could visit the house like a normal daughter-in-law, then she would be very happy. Which girl didn't want to get the affirmation and recognition of her boyfriend's family? Therefore, Yang Ming decided to talk about Lan Ling's matter first. "Dad, in addition to Chen Mengyan, I have a girlfriend." Yang Ming said slowly. "Oh, what?" Yang Dahai was immediately shocked. He almost jumped up from the chair. "Big Ming, are you talking nonsense? Yang Dahai thought that Yang Ming still wanted to comfort him about the bus factory, but he didn't expect Yang Ming to suddenly say such a sentence. "Oh, Dad, you didn't hear wrong. I still have a girlfriend. Her name is Lan Ling," Yang Ming said word by word. "Big Ming." Yang Dahai immediately frowned. "What are you doing? Chen Mengyan is so good to you and you actually play this game? Are you worthy of Chen Mengyan?" "Dad, listen to me first." Yang Ming smiled bitterly and said, "Let's not talk about whether I am worthy of Chen Mengyan. Because no one is worthy of the other in this kind of thing. Before I confirmed my relationship with Chen Mengyan, I already had a relationship with Lan Ling. How should I say it? It's a fact. Dad, do you understand?" "Brat, are you serious?" Yang Dahai was furious. "You have a girlfriend and you're still with Chen Mengyan. Aren't you cheating on her feelings? You're committing bigamy, which is illegal. Let's see if Chen Mengyan's father doesn't arrest you and send you to jail." "Dad, in fact the situation here is very complicated," Yang Ming explained. "Moreover, Chen Mengyan also knows the existence of Lan Ling, and she accepted Lan Ling." Yang Dahai suddenly felt that his brain began to short-circuit. After a while he said in horror, "You said that Chen Mengyan knows? And she accepted Lan Ling? What the hell is going on here?" "Dad, do you believe that voodoo exists in this world?" Yang Ming suddenly asked. "Are you talking about the voodoo of Yunnan's Miaojiang?" asked Yang Dahai. "Yes, do you know?" Yang Ming was a little surprised. His father really knows a lot. "I probably know a little," Yang Dahai said. "When I was in college I had a classmate. He fell in love with a woman from Miaojiang. It was said that the woman gave him a special voodoo to prevent him from having a change of heart. If he had a change of heart he would suffer retribution. At that time we didn't believe it. We just thought it was a joke. Later, when it was time for graduation assignment, the daughter of one of our department heads took a fancy to him. On the condition that he could stay in school, she asked him to break up with the Miaojiang girl. As a result, he was greedy for vanity, so he broke up with the girl and married the daughter of the department head. He also got what he wanted and stayed in school in the name of a worker's child. However, a year later he inexplicably bled to death. No cause could be found in the hospital. The students said that it was because he had a change of heart which caused the voodoo to flare up. But he also reaped what he sowed." Yang Ming heard it and felt a chill. Fortunately, it was a wise choice to bring Lan Ling back. If I just left after sex I would probably be dead by now. "I met Lan Ling in Yunnan," Yang Ming sighed and said. Yang Dahai wasn't stupid. He looked at Yang Ming and then asked anxiously, "You mean she is also from Miaojiang?" "Yes, and I, your son, am very unfortunate. I also got voodoo." Yang Ming smiled bitterly. "It is probably similar to your classmate." "Ah?" Yang Dahai was stunned. He looked at Yang Ming at a loss. He had personally experienced this kind of weird thing. He couldn't help but believe it. Moreover, voodoo was very evil. It couldn't be detected in the hospital. His classmate was like that at the time. He was also afraid that there was a problem with the voodoo, so he came to the hospital for a thorough examination. There was a blood test and a urine test. In the end, nothing was found. He didn't take it seriously. He thought that the girl made it up to scare him in order to keep his heart. But, unfortunately, he fell for it. Looking at his father's horrified look, Yang Ming quickly said, "Dad, you don't have to worry. I am sincere to Lan Ling and I won't betray her. But, does she know about the matter between you and Chen Mengyan?" Yang Dahai was still very worried about his son's safety. After all, this wasn't a joke. "She knows, and she also acquiesced." Yang Ming nodded and said, "Chen Mengyan also knows about my voodoo, so she also accepted Lan Ling. The current situation is like this." You wait. Why am I so confused? You mean that Lan Ling knows about Chen Mengyan and Chen Mengyan also knows about Lan Ling? My God, what are you doing?" Yang Dahai felt a little confused. The situation is probably like what you said." Yang Ming nodded and said, "As long as you know, I have more important things to tell you." "Is there anything else?" Although Yang Dahai still had a lot of questions in his heart, when he heard Yang Ming say this, he could only stop asking. "This is the case. When Lan Ling and I were in Yunnan, we gambled a few pieces of jade." Yang Ming said, "Do you know what jade gambling is?" "I have seen it on TV. Right, didn't you tell me before?" Yang Dahai nodded. "Yes, Lan Ling has another ability. That is, her sixth sense is particularly strong. So, in the few stones that Lan Ling and I chose together, We all had good jade. Yang Ming said, previously I told you that the money to start the company was given to me by Godfather. In fact, it is and it isn't. What do you mean? You mean the money is yours? Yang Dahai was shocked enough before, so his psychological endurance at the moment was much stronger. This was also the reason why Yang Ming told him these things step by step. You can say that. After my jade was processed by Godfather, I sold it at a good price, so it was also the money that Godfather gave me. Yang Ming said. Turned out to be like this. Why didn't you say it before? Yang Dahai suddenly realized. Previously, wasn't there a matter with Lon Ling? Besides, at that time, you and Mom were a little skeptical about my ability. Now that you have changed your view of my previous image, I dare to say it. Yang Ming said innocently. You kid. Yang Dahai shook his head and said, but what are you going to do in the future? Do you want to continue like this? You have to make a choice between Qin Mengyan and Lon Ling, right? Yang Dashan was still more concerned about Yang Ming's life safety. Dad, let's talk about this later. Why don't you ask me how much the jade was sold for? Yang Ming waved his hand and said, how much? Isn't it the money you used to start the company? Isn't it 5 million? Yang Dahai asked. It's not 5 million. Dad, in fact, 5 million is just a small part. Yang Ming opened his laptop and logged into the online bank. Then he pulled up his deposit record and said, Dad, this money is now mine. What? 1 0, 2 zeros, 3 zeros, 38 million? Yang Dahai was dazzled, but he still missed one. He thought 380 million was 38 million. Is this true? Big Ming, you have more than 30 million. Yang Dahai stood up in shock and looked at Yang Ming with a stunned expression. Chapter 606. Looking at his father's expression, Yang Ming could only smile bitterly. 30 million. He was so shocked. If it was 300 million, what would it be like? Moreover, it was in US dollars. Big Ming, are you kidding me? I heard that the current computer Photoshop technology is superb. Could this be photoshopped by you? Yang Dahai still couldn't believe his eyes. Dad, in fact, you didn't see it wrong. This money is all mine. Yang Ming nodded, then closed the account on the computer and said, I didn't tell you and Mom before because I was afraid of scaring you. But it seems that you are still surprised. Nonsense. Yang Dahai slapped Yang Ming's head and said, who wouldn't be surprised? You kid made such a big move. My heart can't stand it. Dad, then why did you slap me? Yang Ming was really hurt by his father's slap. I want to see if you are in pain to prove that you aren't dreaming. Yang Dahai smiled. Yang Ming also smiled after listening. It was rare for his dad to smile. This was rare. Dad, who was always very serious, actually had a time to joke with me. It seems that Dad's mood is really good now. Dad, have you guessed the purpose of me showing you the money? Yang Ming put away his smile and said in a slightly serious tone. Just a little. Big Ming, are you really going to invest in the bus factory? Yang Dahai hesitated and asked uncertainly. Yes, Dad, I decided to invest in the Songjiang bus factory. Yang Ming nodded and said. Are you serious? Big Ming, don't be impulsive. This isn't a joke. Seeing that Yang Ming had money and agreed to invest, Yang Dahai's mind calmed down. That's right. After all, this was a huge sum of money. 30 million. What if he lost money after investing it? Dad, I have seriously considered it just now. Moreover, I told you so much because I want to tell you that I have the strength to save the bus factory. Yang Ming nodded and said solemnly. Big Ming, have you really thought it through? Besides, didn't you earn this money with Lon Ling? He also has a share. Can you use it privately? Yang Dahai hesitated. Ah, Dad, why wouldn't she agree? She is mine, not to mention the money. You'll know when you see her. She's a well-behaved little girl. Oh right, I have a photo of us together in Yunnan on my computer. I'll show it to you. Yang Ming smiled and opened a folder in the D drive of the computer. Then he opened the picture file inside and pointed at the LCD screen of the computer. That she's Lon Ling. Oh. Yang Dahai was stunned, but the expression on his face immediately became very strange. He looked at Yang Ming and said, Big Ming, how old is she? Yang Dahai's subtext was to ask, is this Lon Ling an adult? However, in consideration of his son's face, he didn't say it out loud. 16 years old. I've seen her ID card. Dad, don't worry, I won't do anything stupid like destroying a flower, Yang Ming said, sweating. I want to find a friend to come over and let him discuss with Uncle Feng. And this investment, let's say that it's from my friend. What do you think? Yang Ming suggested. Yang Dehai thought about it. Yang Ming's words were indeed reasonable. Although he trusted Feng Wanjiang's character, such a large amount of money was indeed not reassuring if there was no one who knew about it. Moreover, it was said that one shouldn't reveal one's wealth. Yang Ming's movement in the company was already quite big. Now he wanted to invest in the bus factory. Yang Dehai was also afraid that it would cause trouble. So he said, "This is also good. Then do as you say. How is your relationship with your friend?" "Don't worry, Dad. I have a sense of propriety," Yang Ming said. "At that time, the legal person after the factory's restructuring will write your name. As for him, I just want him to find someone to assist in managing the factory's operation." "You mean, you want to make factory manager Feng a mere figurehead?" Yang Dehai was shocked and asked quickly. "That's not it. I think Uncle Feng is still weak in management and marketing. It's good to let him negotiate and be in charge of technical matters." Yang Ming said, "My idea is that you command the overall situation and then let my friend be in charge of marketing. Uncle Feng is in charge of technical production." "I command the overall situation?" Yang Dehai was shocked. "Big Ming, are you kidding? The legal person of the company can write my name. After all, it's our family's money. Naturally, it has to be written in our family's name. But if you let me be the factory manager..." "Isn't that?" "Not the factory manager." Yang Ming waved his hand. "It's the chairman." "Chairman? Then I can't do it. I'm just a worker in the workshop. At most, I've been a model soldier a few times. How can I be the chairman?" Yang Dehai shook his head and refused. "Hee." Yang Ming looked at his dad's expression and couldn't help but smile. "Dad, you don't have to be nervous. It's actually very easy to be the chairman. That won't work. I don't know how to do business at all. If you ask me to be the chairman, what if I ruin the factory?" Yang Dehai still didn't agree. "In fact, the chairman doesn't need to know how to do business. You just need to command the overall situation. To put it bluntly, you just need to look after your subordinates and let them do it. You can ask Uncle Feng to be in charge of technical matters. You just need to check. On the marketing side, most of the components in our factory are OEM orders, right? There's no need to worry about it. As for the export, let my friend be in charge." Yang Ming explained. "So it's like this?" Yang Dehai listened to Yang Ming's explanation. Although he still had some doubts, this worker can become the chairman just like that? Isn't this world too crazy? But he still nodded and agreed. "Since you said so, then I'll do it first. If it doesn't work, you quickly replace me. I still have to go back to my workshop." Chapter 607. "Ha, Dad, I really haven't seen someone like you," Yang Ming said helplessly. "I don't want to be a chairman, but I like to be a worker. Aren't these two different things?" Yang Dehai also smiled. "That's fine. That's settled. I will call factory manager Feng now and tell him the good news. Dad, you can tell Uncle Feng that my friend intends to invest 30 million yuan, but he must have the ownership of the factory. Ask him if he agrees." Yang Ming said. "Okay, I will go and say it." Yang Dehai responded and got up and left Yang Ming's room. The reason why Yang Ming added this sentence was actually to test Feng Wanjiang. In Yang Ming's words there was a hint of meaning. That was, my friend wants the ownership and you can't be the factory director anymore. If Feng Wanjiang was really the kind of leader who wanted the best for the factory, then he would definitely not care about this condition. If he really wanted to get any benefits, then he would definitely hesitate. If he really didn't care, then Yang Ming would still entrust him with a heavy responsibility. After all, such a career-minded person was really hard to find. It was hard to find such a person. Therefore Yang Ming came up with such an idea temporarily. But it was also the most effective idea. Once it was related to personal interests, it was the best time to reflect a person's character. After his dad went out, Yang Ming called Ho Zhenhan and told him about his idea. After Ho Zhenhan wrote it down, he said that there was no problem and he could just hand it over to him. Feng Wanjiang went to Yang Dehai's house today. He was full of hope, but when he came back he was disappointed. It could be seen that there was probably no hope for this matter. He just felt a little distressed for the fruits and swordfish. These were bought with his own money. Feng Wanjiang could be said to have broken his heart for this factory. However, he mostly blamed himself. In the past, when the factory was doing well, he didn't see the future direction of development clearly. He didn't reform the technology and innovate the old, leading to the current situation where the factory was about to close down. Now he was researching new technologies day and night looking for new developments. He had also tried to contact many imported car manufacturers. They had also agreed to cooperate, but what he lacked now was money. Feng Wanjiang sighed. During this period of time he had gone to all the places and people he could find. However, the shortage of funds was too big. The factory could not take out any money now. They still owed the bank more than 10 million in foreign debt. Although it was a local enterprise with the support of the local government, the current situation of the factory couldn't be solved at all. Without the injection of large funds they could only wait for bankruptcy. Moreover, Songjiang wasn't a first-class city. The financial situation was already very tight. How could they have the money to solve the problem of the factory? Therefore Feng Wanjiang could only rely on himself to solve the problem. At this moment Feng Wanjiang was sitting in front of the computer at home and smoking. He was looking up the latest automobile parts manufacturing and supply and demand information on the internet, and then thinking about the factory's solution. At this time the phone on the table rang. Feng Wanjiang picked it up and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. Hello? Hello, I'm Feng Wanjiang. Feng Wanjiang picked up the phone and said politely. Recently he had called a lot of people for help, so he didn't know who was calling at this moment. Factory manager Feng? I'm Yang Dehai, said Yang Dehai. Ah, it's old Yang. Feng Wanjiang's heart moved. Could there be some good news? He quickly said with enthusiasm, hello, hello. Factory manager Feng, just now I talked to Yang Ming for a long time about the factory, said Yang Dehai. How is it? Is there any news? Asked Feng Wanjiang eagerly. It's like this. Yang Dehai thought about it and said, Yang Ming doesn't have much money. His godfather gave him more than 5 million yuan to start a company, and he has already used up most of it. If that's the case then it's fine, hee. Feng Wanjiang smiled bitterly with some disappointment. However, a friend of Yang Ming heard about the current situation of the factory and expressed the intention to invest. Yang Dehai changed the topic. Oh, is this for real? That's great. Where is this friend? I will go to see him now and talk to him in detail. Feng Wanjiang said quickly. Wait. Factory manager Feng, Yang Ming's friend has a condition. If you can see it he will invest. Yang Dehai said according to Yang Ming's instructions. What is the condition? Let me hear it. Feng Wanjiang said without thinking. His condition is that he wants the ownership of the factory. After Yang Dehai finished he felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. However, when he thought that Yang Ming would still put factory manager Feng in an important position in the future he was a little relieved. Ownership? Feng Wanjiang frowned and said, how much can he invest? The fixed assets of our factory are more than 20 million yuan. Even if there are more than 10 million foreign debts, there is still nearly 10 million left. Of course the equipment is said to be worth this money, but in fact it isn't worth it. But at the very least, the investment can't be less than 20 million yuan, right? He said that he can invest 30 million yuan. Said Yang Dehai, 30 million. Feng Wanjiang exclaimed and then immediately said with joy, really? Old Yang, if it is 30 million yuan that is great. Then the big problem will be solved. Factory manager Feng. But that person's condition is the ownership of the factory. Then you will. Yang Dehai hesitated and reminded him. What about me? Am I not the factory manager? Feng Wanjiang suddenly smiled and said, what's the big deal? If you aren't then you aren't. As long as the factory can be done well, let me go back to the workshop to be a worker with you. It doesn't matter. But the premise is that the factory must be a legitimate investment. Maybe some fake accounts. In the end it is just for the land. That naturally can't be. Yang Dehai listened to Feng Wanjiang's words and his heart was touched. Seems that Feng Wanjiang is still a good person. By the way, old Yang, can I meet this person now? Feng Wanjiang's heart felt like it had grown grass and he couldn't wait any longer. I will ask Yang Ming's friend. Isn't this a bit too fast? Yang Dehai didn't expect Feng Wanjiang to be so anxious. It's not fast, not fast. The sooner this kind of thing is finalized, the better. The factory can also get out of the predicament earlier, said Feng Wanjiang. After hanging up the phone, Yang Dehai couldn't help but shake his head. Feng Wanjiang is really impatient. I don't know if Big Ming's friend is ready? When he came to Yang Ming's room he found that Yang Ming was checking the news on the internet, so he said, Big Ming, factory manager Feng is impatient. He wants to see your friend now. What should we do? No. Yang Ming also smiled helplessly. Seems that he is really anxious. But what did Uncle Feng say about that matter? Factory manager Feng agreed to the request you said, but he said that you must invest sincerely. You can't actually get the factory's land in the name of investment, said Yang Dahai. I know this. Are you still worried about your son? Yang Ming said with some amusement. Isn't the reason why I invested in this factory because of you, Dad? You have feelings for the factory and your son has the ability, so it is like this. Yang Ming also knew that some businessmen would invest in a factory saying that they wanted to invest. In the end, they only wanted the factory's land. It didn't take long for the factory to close down, and then they could use the land to do other things. There was also a precedent for this. But he was different. He did these things because of his father's face. Moreover, when he came back from Qin Mingyan's house, Yang Ming also clearly felt his father's sense of loss. Although Qin Fei and Mother Qin didn't despise his father's identity, his father's heart was also uncomfortable. After all, other people were cadres and leaders, but he was a workshop worker. Therefore, this was one of the reasons why Yang Ming planned to invest. It was to let his father have some confidence in the future. In fact, Yang Ming also had a little thought. That was, the words of Xia's father were deeply imprinted in his heart. Imagine if my father was the chairman, would Xia's father still treat me like this? Would Wu Qiren deal with the matter between me and Xia like this? Probably it would be another situation, right? I will call my friend to discuss it. Anyway, there is nothing to do now. Yang Ming said, this matter should be done sooner rather than later. That's fine. You make the call. I will go and prepare. Yang Dahai was at home today and he hadn't washed his face yet. Yang Ming said that it was a discussion, but it was actually an order. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Ho Zhenhan immediately agreed. 10 minutes later he drove to Yang Ming's house to pick up Yang Ming. Right, bring the person you mentioned. I want to see him. Yang Ming thought about it. If you think this person is okay, you can hint to him about my identity. Okay, I got it. Ho Zhenhan agreed. Chapter 608. The reason why Yang Ming asked Ho Zhenhan to do this was also out of consideration for his father. If he were to manage the bus factory in the future, he wouldn't dare to do anything with Ho Zhenhan's order. But after all, he was working under his father. If he knew Yang Ming's identity, he would be more respectful to his father. 10 minutes later, Yang Ming received a text message from Ho Zhenhan, saying that he had arrived downstairs. It seemed that Ho Zhenhan's efficiency was still very high. Yang Ming walked out of the room. His mother was wiping the floor. When she saw Yang Ming coming out, she immediately asked, Big Ming, what are you and your father doing so mysteriously? It's nothing. I'll let Dad tell you tonight. Yang Ming felt that it was better to let his dad tell his mom personally. Otherwise, not only would he waste his time explaining, but he would also scare his mom. This child, well, I will ask your father tonight. His mother didn't take it seriously. She thought that even if there was something between the father and son, it wouldn't be a big deal. You are wearing a coat. Are you going out? I am going out with Dad. We may not eat at home tonight. Yang Ming said. Well, I won't prepare the meal. Mother Yang nodded. In the bathroom, he saw his father washing his face and combing his hair. Yang Ming whispered, Dad, my friend is here. He is downstairs. Then I have to hurry up. Yang Dahai said as he sped up the combing speed. It's okay. Let him wait for a while. Yang Ming smiled and said, he is my buddy. You don't have to be too polite. You kid, I don't know what kind of friend you have. How can you say that? He is helping us and you still want him to wait? Yang Dahai shook his head. Okay, I am done. Let's go down. Right, Dad, Mom just asked me what happened. I didn't say. You should tell her personally tonight. Yang Ming said as he walked. Let me say it? Yang Dahai was stunned, then he said helplessly, well, you kid. The father and son went downstairs. Yang Ming saw Ho Zhenhan from afar. He was standing beside a black BMW X5. Yang Ming thought, this Ho Zhenhan really understands my mind. He knows to drive a good car to pretend to be a boss. Otherwise, if he drives a broken Jetta, he will look like a liar. Dad, that's my friend. Yang Ming brought his father to Ho Zhenhan's side and then introduced, Big Ho, this is my dad. Dad, this is Ho Zhenhan. Hello, President Ho. Yang Dahai didn't know what Ho Zhenhan did, but since he was driving a BMW, he naturally knew that Ho Junhan was a rich man, so he directly called him President Ho. What President Ho? Uncle, you can just call me Little Monkey. My mother calls me that. Ho Junhan said humbly. He didn't dare to pretend in front of Yang Ming's father. However, the underling Wang Jinda, who was standing next to Ho Junhan, felt like his eyes were about to explode at this moment. What the fuck? The high and mighty brother Ho actually became a little monkey in front of others at this moment? Although Ho Junhan had told Wang Jinda before that he would take him to meet a heavyweight character today, and let him follow this person well in the future. However, Wang Jinda thought that Ho Junhan was just exaggerating. Although he didn't dare to disobey Ho Junhan's arrangement, he still felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. He thought that he would be promoted faster by following Ho Junhan. However, seeing the scene in front of him, Wang Jinda understood that the young man in front of him was obviously a ruthless person. Not only did he call Brother Ho as Big Ho, but Brother Ho was also respectful to him. Brother Yang, uncle, get in the car. Ho Junhan said respectfully. Wang Jinda had secretly made up his mind at this moment to follow the footsteps of Yang Ming. God, the person who is Yang Ming's brother, what kind of character is that? Therefore, Wang Jinda quickly opened the back door for Yang Ming and Yang Dahai. Yang Ming let his father get in the car first and then he sat next to his father. Brother Yang, let me introduce you. This is Wang Jinda. He is very clever and business-minded. I was going to promote him to the company's marketing manager, but it seems that I am still wasting his talent. Brother Yang wants to put him in a more important position. Ho Junhan said, however, this kid is too young. I am afraid that he can't carry the heavy burden. Hee, one's ambition isn't dependent on one's age. Yang Ming said with a smile, Big Ho, you don't seem to be old, right? Hee. Ho Junhan was embarrassed by what Yang Ming said. He quickly said, that is, Brother Yang is right. Wang Jinda was secretly amazed. Sure enough, Brother Yang is a ruthless person. However, what does Brother Yang do? Wang Jinda wasn't quite sure. Today he followed Ho Junhan to familiarize himself with him, so he didn't dare to ask more. He had to listen respectfully at the side. Aren't you going to greet Brother Yang? Ho Junhan patted the back of Wang Jinda's head. Brother Yang, Uncle Yang. Wang Jinda said quickly. Feng Wanjiang was naturally very happy. Yang Ming hadn't arrived yet, so Feng Wanjiang was waiting downstairs. Yang Ming's house wasn't far from his house. It was separated by a few family buildings. The car arrived after turning a corner. Factory manager Feng. Yang Dahai pushed the door open and then walked quickly to Feng Wanjiang. Old Yang. Feng Wanjiang was naturally a person who knew the goods. When he saw the BMW luxury car in front of him, he was naturally overjoyed. Who is President Ho, Boss Ho? Hello, Ho Junhan. Ho Junhan came over and reached out to shake hands with Feng Wanjiang. Hello. Feng Wanjiang excitedly shook hands with Ho Junhan and said, I don't know what kind of business Boss Ho does. Feng Wanjiang was the director of a state-owned factory, so he had little contact with people like Ho Junhan. Naturally, he didn't know what Ho Junhan did. Oh, I'm the general manager of the Mingyang Security Company. Ho Junhan handed a business card to Feng Wanjiang and said, Yang Ming once saved my mother's life, so when he told me that his father's factory was in trouble, I was thinking of doing something to help. Turned out to be like this. Feng Wanjiang thought, no wonder. Turns out to be a life-saving grace. I didn't expect that the kid from the Yang family really has such a life. His friends are all big bosses. President Ho, then can we find a place to discuss the specific matters? Well, factory manager Feng, let's get in the car. Ho Junhan nodded and made an inviting gesture. The BMW X5 had a lot of space, so it wouldn't be crowded with 3 people in the back row. Yang Ming, Yang Dahai and Feng Wanjiang sat in the back row. The car slowly drove to the nightless club. Along the way, Feng Wanjiang kept introducing the current situation of his factory. He also knew that if he said it, the other party might not believe it. They would definitely investigate it. Therefore, Feng Wanjiang was basically telling the truth. However, Ho Junhan also understood everything that Feng Wanjiang said before. But he still pretended not to know and asked some questions from time to time. Feng Wanjiang was also an old man in the business field. He could also see that Ho Junhan seemed to be interested in the factory. He wasn't being perfunctory, so he was full of energy and kept talking about his plan. Wang Jinda, on the other hand, didn't say a word. While he was driving, he was listening quietly. Yang Ming also secretly paid attention to this person. He felt that he was okay, so he was ready to test him. When Feng Wanjiang learned that the nightless club was also Ho Junhan's industry, his face suddenly changed color. Although he didn't know Ho Junhan and didn't know about the Mingyang Security Company, he still knew about the nightless club. It was said that the background of this nightclub was deep. The boss was the underworld boss of Songjiang City. Several times his friends invited him here. His friends also told him these things. They said that it was the safest place to play because no one dared to make trouble here. When he knew about Ho Junhan's background, Feng Wanjiang became cautious when he spoke. His heart was also drumming. This is a cooperation with the underworld boss. He can't tarnish my reputation, right? The factory was already in a slump. If they were targeted by people from the underworld, they would really have no way to survive. However, when they were eating later, Ho Junhan said a sentence that made Feng Wanjiang feel relieved. Ho Junhan said that he was going to set up a new company under the name of Yang Dahai. Why? Money can be earned again if it's gone, but if one's life is gone, it's really gone. Yang Ming saved his mother in the past. This was something that couldn't be exchanged with money. Moreover, Ho Junhan had been looking for opportunities to repay Yang Ming, but there was no suitable opportunity. Now that there was an opportunity, naturally he couldn't miss it. After listening to these words, Feng Wanjiang immediately felt relieved. He was still clear about Old Yang's character. Even if he wasn't the factory manager, Old Yang wouldn't do anything bad to the factory when he took over. Chapter 609. That night there was a big earthquake in the Yang family. When Mother Yang learned that Yang Ming planned to invest in the Songjiang bus factory, her face immediately changed. Regardless of whether she was going to sleep at this time, she jumped up and said firmly to Yang Dahai, "No, this is definitely not possible." Mother Yang didn't have Yang Dahai's affection for the Songjiang bus factory. She was the first batch of laid-off female workers in the bus factory. It was good enough that she didn't hate the factory. How could she have a good impression of it? So she directly blew up. That, wife, this was decided by Big Ming himself. Why don't you ask him? Yang Dahai also didn't know what to do. He knew his wife's mind. Women were always calculating. Seeing that 30 million yuan was going to be invested in an illusory bus factory, it was naturally not as practical as holding a passbook in his hand. I won't ask. How old is Big Ming? What thoughts can he have? It must be you who instigated it. Mother Yang said, "No, I have to go to Big Ming now and tell him that this is not possible." Then you go. This is really Big Ming's own idea. Yang Dahai said, "Right, wife, it's so late. Don't disturb the child. Tomorrow is the second day. According to the custom, it is the day to return to the mother's house. Big Ming is going to Qin Mingyan's house as a guest. He has to wake up early." "Oh yes, you are right. Then I will wait for him to come back tomorrow night and look for him again." Mother Yang thought this investment isn't something that can be solved in 1 or 2 days. One more day won't make a difference. How would she know that tonight Ho Junhan and Wang Jinda began to discuss the restructuring of the factory with Feng Wanjiang? "Right, Old Yang, you haven't told me yet. How did Big Ming suddenly have so much money?" When Mother Yang heard that he was going to invest in the bus factory, she was confused. At this moment she reacted. Where did her son's money come from? I have to start from the beginning. Yang Dahai deliberately kept her in suspense and diverted Mother Yang's attention to this. So he talked about his son going to Yunnan and gambling on stones. Of course, he also talked about Lan Ling's matter. Sure enough, Mother Yang's interest in Lan Ling was far greater than the money. She asked curiously and eagerly, "Old Yang, what happened to Lan Ling? Is she beautiful? Do you have any photos?" Yang Dahai smiled bitterly after listening. "There are photos, but they are in Big Ming's computer. However, I think this little girl Lan Ling is not bad. She looks quite smart. But that's not important. The problem now is that our son has been poisoned by someone else's goo. He can't not be with her." "Ha, this Big Ming, I didn't expect him to have some skills." Qin Mengyan actually agreed. Mother Yang couldn't help but be overjoyed. "Then wouldn't I have 2 daughters-in-law? Not bad, not bad." He picked up the phone on the table and called Qin Mengyan. In fact, Qin Mengyan also wanted to call him, but she was hesitant. According to our folk customs, The second day of the new year was the day to return to one's mother's home. Since Qin Mengyan had established a relationship with Yang Ming, she naturally wanted to invite Yang Ming to visit her home. But she also knew that Yang Ming spent New Year's Eve at her home. Everyone had a lot of things to do during the new year. There were many relatives and friends to visit. She was afraid that Yang Ming wouldn't have time to reject her. That would be a loss of face. Therefore, Qin Mengyan simply didn't ask Yang Ming and let nature take its course. However, when she picked up Yang Ming's phone call, she was slightly happy. They just broke up in the morning and Yang Ming called at night. "Mengyan, are you asleep?" Yang Ming said gently. "Not yet. I was just talking to my parents. Now I'm calling you in my room." Qin Mengyan said obediently. "Did you miss me?" Yang Ming asked with a smile. And Qin Mengyan didn't hide it. Anyway, there were no outsiders nearby. "I missed you. How about you?" "Me too. That's why I called you." Yang Ming said, "Are you free tomorrow?" "Tomorrow? What are you going to do?" Qin Mengyan's heart moved. "Isn't tomorrow the second day of New Year? It's the day to go back to your parents' home. Naturally, I have to go to your house as a guest." Yang Ming explained. "Oh, what? We haven't gotten married yet." Qin Mengyan was happy, but when she heard Yang Ming say it so directly, she couldn't help but be a little shy. "I'm not going." Yang Ming teased Qin Mengyan. "You dare." Qin Mengyan was immediately unwilling and blurted out. But then she felt that she was too straightforward. Wasn't it obvious that she wanted to ask Yang Ming to come? So she quickly changed her words. "It's up to you whether you want to come or not. Hee, I won't joke with you anymore. Let's be serious. Is there anything at your home tomorrow?" asked Yang Ming. "Tomorrow, my dad will accompany my mom to my grandmother's house." Qin Mengyan said this and only felt her face blush. Yang Ming went to her house and her father went to her grandmother's house. What kind of logic is this? "Oh," Yang Ming said with some disappointment, "then why am I going to your house? There's no one there." "I can't go. I'm at home." Qin Mengyan saw that Yang Ming wanted to back out and said quickly. "That's fine, but just the two of us? Staying at your house." Yang Ming felt that the two of them couldn't just stay at home. "I saw on TV that the Songjiang New Year's Temple Fair is good. Why don't we go together?" asked Qin Mengyan. Temple Fair?" Yang Ming immediately complained. "I just went there with Lin Jiyun today. Do I have to go again tomorrow? I thought that I would just have a meal at the Qin family's house tomorrow." Who would have thought that Qin Fei actually went to visit his father-in-law? "Yang Ming, let's go. I heard that there is a rock climbing project. The winner can get a couple of Taurus necklaces," said Qin Mengyan. Yang Ming was even more miserable. "It can't be. Rock climbing? Isn't this asking for my life? If I knew it would be like this, I wouldn't show off today. Really? If someone found out that I took another girl to rock climb tomorrow, I don't know what the consequences will be." So he quickly said, "Mengyan, that rock climbing is said to be very dangerous. Let's not play." Chapter 610. Danger. Now that you've gotten me, you're not treating me well, right?" Qin Mengyan was immediately angry when she heard it. "How did you climb from downstairs to our dormitory? You could climb up there, let alone rock climbing?" After that, Xiao Sisi told Qin Mengyan about Yang Ming's ability to leap over roofs and vault walls, so Qin Mengyan remembered that Yang Ming was extraordinary. Besides, rock climbing was much simpler than climbing and there were safety measures below. Therefore, Qin Mengyan naturally felt that Yang Ming didn't value her. He didn't cherish things that were too easy to get. Now, I haven't done it with him yet, but Yang Ming has already begun to not be as attentive to me as before. If I do it with him, won't he throw me aside? Qin Mengyan thought angrily. It was no wonder that she would think this way. Once when they were in high school, Yang Ming was obedient to her, but now? Ai. Qin Mengyan shook her head. It was really like the saying, before falling in love, it was the girl who had the boy under control, but after falling in love, it was the opposite. When Yang Ming heard Qin Mengyan say this, he secretly thought that it wasn't good. How could I forget this for a while? With the relationship between Qin Mengyan and Xiao Sisi, she would definitely tell Qin Mengyan what she saw and heard when she saw me climbing the wall that day. Now that I'm giving all kinds of excuses, it would be strange if Qin Mengyan wasn't angry. Thinking of this, Yang Ming could only brace himself and say, "Well, then I will definitely get that pair of necklaces for you. I will not be afraid of difficulties and go forward bravely." That's more like it. When Qin Mengyan heard that Yang Ming agreed and wanted to get the ultimate prize for her, she felt a lot more comfortable. Then you come to my house tomorrow morning. Earlier you can still see my parents. That's fine. Then I'll be there at 7:30. Yang Ming sighed in his heart. Tomorrow what will happen? Early the next morning, Yang Ming deliberately made a hairstyle for himself. He used gel to make his hair stand up. But it looked quite cool. Yang Ming wasn't a person who was shameless, but this was also a last resort. He was afraid of being recognized. Moreover, Yang Ming also deliberately changed his coat today to make himself as different as possible from yesterday. However, familiar people could still recognize him at a glance. It couldn't be helped. Yang Ming could only do this. If he was recognized by someone, then he really couldn't do anything. It was really inconvenient to not have a car. It seemed that when Car City opened after the Chinese New Year, he had to get a car to drive first. Otherwise, it would be really troublesome to go back and forth. Qin Fei and Mother Qin deliberately waited for Yang Ming to have breakfast together today. After the food was prepared, the family sat in the living room and chatted. When I first had Xiao Yan, our family took her to my mother's place. In a blink of an eye, it was almost 20 years later. Xiao Yan also brought her boyfriend to our house to be a guest. Mother Qin said with some emotion. Yeah, time and tide wait for no one. Passed in a blink of an eye. Qin Fei smiled after listening. You have been a daughter-in-law for many years. You have become a mother-in-law. You should be happy. See, it turned out that I went to visit others every year. Now someone finally came to visit me. Mother Qin smiled. Qin Mengyan lowered her head and didn't dare to interrupt. It was no wonder. Her parents were joking with her. How could she dare to interrupt? As they were talking and laughing, the doorbell rang. Qin Mengyan quickly stood up and looked at the door. Sure enough, she saw Yang Ming standing at the door with a smile. He was holding a bag of gifts in his hand. You're here? Qin Mengyan said with joy. And where are your parents? Have they left? Asked Yang Ming. No, they are waiting for you to eat breakfast. Qin Mengyan said and took the gift in Yang Ming's hand. Then I won't be polite. It just so happens that I haven't eaten in the morning. Yang Ming said casually. Yang Ming is here? Qin Fei also came out to greet him. Look at you now. You are learning this from me. Just come. Why do you have to bring gifts? Uncle Qin, I am different. First, I am not asking you to do anything. Second, I am not trying to curry favor with you. It is purely a visit from a younger generation to an elder. Why can't I bring gifts? Yang Ming smiled. You're full of nonsense. But don't bring gifts next time. Your auntie's unit gave out food every year. I still want to bring some to your family. Qin Fei smiled. Go and wash your hands. Let's have breakfast. The Qin family's breakfast was very simple. It was plain porridge and pickles. However, Yang Ming was full of praise. Auntie, your cooking is really good. The porridge and pickles are so good. Seems that Uncle Qin has good food. If I can eat this delicious breakfast every morning in the future, I will be happy. However, after Yang Ming said this, he found that Qin Fei's family was looking at him strangely. However, after a while, Qin Fei and Mother Qin suddenly laughed. Qin Mengyan also lowered her head shyly. Yang Ming wasn't stupid. He immediately understood what was going on. This breakfast was made by Qin Mengyan. Yang Ming, you will really have such good food in the future. Qin Fei said with a smile. This breakfast was made by Mengyan. How is it? The taste is good, right? Yang Ming quickly said, not bad, not bad. It seems that I will be happy in the future. But what about Uncle Qin in the future? Hehe. Qin Fei said with a smile, what you eat is only the apprentice's cooking. I have a master here. As Qin Fei said this, he pointed at Mother Qin. Yang Ming suddenly realized that Qin Mengyan's craftsmanship had been passed down by Mother Qin. After breakfast, Qin Fei and Mother Qin packed up and prepared to go to Qin Mengyan's grandmother's house. Seeing the bags of gifts in Qin Fei's hands, Yang Ming couldn't help but laugh. Uncle Qin, I found that you are really funny. What's wrong with me? Qin Fei was somewhat inexplicable by Yang Ming's sudden laughter. We are really the pot calling the kettle black. Look at yourself. You said that I saw you bringing gifts. Then what are you doing now? Yang Ming said mischievously. Look. Qin Fei was suddenly speechless. He looked at the things in his hands and blushed. Mother Qin, who was on the side, couldn't help but laugh. The family was happy and harmonious. There was no estrangement at all. Qin Mengyan was very happy that Yang Ming could get along so well with her parents. Okay, Yang Ming, don't insult your Uncle Qin. I won't talk about you next time. Qin Fei shook his head helplessly. Sometimes it's just talk, but when you really do it, you have to follow the custom. After Qin Fei and Mother Qin left, there were only two people in the house, Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan. Qin Mengyan was busy going to the bathroom to put on makeup. Yang Ming was bored watching the cultural program on TV. Before the Chinese New Year, there were a lot of cultural performances held by various associations in these places. He couldn't watch all of them. He casually changed the channel of a party program, and it was actually a broadcast of Xu Ya's performance. Yang Ming put down the remote control and watched the program on TV. He didn't know why, but Yang Ming had a special interest in this Xu Ya. Yang Ming couldn't explain why. Was it because her name was similar to Xiao, or was it because she had the ring that he gave to Xiao? Maybe it was both of these reasons. After Qin Mengyan cleaned herself up, she went out of the bathroom and saw Yang Ming watching TV. She asked curiously, "Oh? Do you like Xu Ya?" "I'm just watching." Yang Ming smiled. "Why? Is she your idol?" "Kind of. I like her very much." Qin Mengyan said, "She is beautiful and her voice is good. But even if you like her, I won't be jealous." "Why?" Yang Ming asked, baffled. When did Qin Mengyan become so generous? It's very simple. Even if you like her, it's in vain. You and her can't have any intersection. Qin Mengyan said indifferently, "She is a big star. There are many people who like her. Who knows you?" That's right." Yang Ming smiled indifferently. "But if you can really pursue her, I will accept it." Qin Mengyan didn't believe that Yang Ming and Xu Ya would have any intersection, so she said this. "What do you mean?" Yang Ming's heart moved. "Nothing. If you want to find a mistress, you can find a star that I like. In that case, I won't be angry." Qin Mengyan said with a smile. "Are you serious?" Yang Ming didn't believe it. Chapter 6:11. However, Qin Mengyan didn't know that it was the words she said today that made her regret it in the future. However, she couldn't do anything about the person who said it. "Well, then I will work hard." Yang Ming smiled. "Okay, you work hard." Qin Mengyan also smiled. "I'm looking forward to it." However, Qin Mengyan was still a little worried. She changed the topic and said, "We are talking about Xu Ya. We can't change it to someone else. If you find a small celebrity who isn't famous, I won't do it." When Qin Mengyan said this, she limited the candidate to only one. As a result, Yang Ming's chance was even slimmer. She was really afraid that Yang Ming would find a starlet in the future to fulfill her words. Therefore, Qin Mengyan deliberately added another sentence. She felt that Yang Ming wouldn't find Xu Ya to be his concubine. Was it simply impossible? Xu Ya was a big celebrity who was eye-catching, and Yang Ming was just a small character. Xu Ya could marry anyone. How could she marry Yang Ming? Moreover, even if she was willing to marry Yang Ming, could she bear to share a man with others? It was completely impossible. It was 10,000% impossible. Therefore, Qin Mengyan was so generous this time. "Okay, it will be Xiao," Yang Ming said with a smile. "It's not Xiao, it's Xu Ya." Qin Mengyan wasn't a fool. She certainly heard the ambiguity in the middle of Yang Ming's words. Yang Ming was speechless. He wanted to be vague, but he didn't expect Qin Mengyan's ears to be sharp. She heard what he said. He had to say, Okay. It will be Xu Ya. Is that okay?" Qin Mengyan nodded. "But you have to set a time limit. From now on, it will be invalid within 1 year." Qin Mengyan saw Yang Ming's lewd expression and suddenly felt that something was wrong. Therefore, she added a time limit. Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry after hearing it. The conditions kept shrinking. From the beginning, it was only a celebrity to Xu Ya. The time limit changed from indefinite to 1 year. 1 year. What kind of joke is this? I'm still in college and I'm busy with the jewelry company and bus factory. How can I go to Hong Kong to flirt with a celebrity? Even if I take a step back and say that I have the time to flirt with some celebrities, I still haven't figured out my harem. Let's not talk about Lan Ling and Xiao Qing, who I pushed down. Even if I didn't push down Lin Jiun, seems that I pushed her down too. There's still Zhao Ying Zhou Jiejia, who loves me so much, and even Sun Jie. It's really confusing just thinking about it. However, Yang Ming really didn't take it seriously. In his opinion, there was no difference between 1 year and 10 years. He didn't want to have anything to do with Xu Ya. Well, 1 year it is. Yang Ming nodded. Is there anything else to add? Yang Ming said this, but it made Qin Mengyan a little embarrassed. She shook her head and said, nothing, that's all. Alright, let's not talk about this. Are we going out now? Asked Yang Ming. Okay, then you don't want to watch TV? Qin Mengyan glanced at the program on TV and said, it turns out that Xu Ya's song is over. I was wondering why you were willing to leave. Sweat. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. How do I know when she is done? I didn't even notice. I'm just joking with you. Why are you so nervous? Qin Mengyan looked at Yang Ming's helpless look and found it funny. The two people went out of the house and then walked to the commercial street. Qin Mengyan's house wasn't far from the commercial street, but it wasn't close, so the two people took a taxi and rushed to the location of the temple fair. However, coincidentally, when they just got out of the car, they met Li Yixuan and Wang Xiaoyan. Wang Xiaoyan was walking proudly in front, but Li Yixuan followed behind her. Yang Ming. After Li Yixuan saw Yang Ming, his eyes suddenly lit up and he quickly greeted him. At this time Wang Xiaoyan also looked back and saw Yang Ming. She nodded to him. Yang Ming was used to this. There were some misunderstandings between the two people. The relationship was really tense. It was good to meet and nod. Are you also here to visit the temple fair? Asked Li Yixuan. Yeah. Qin Mengyan nodded and then pointed to Wang Xiaoyan, who was walking in front, and whispered, why doesn't your girlfriend like to talk to people? Qin Mengyan didn't know what the relationship between Li Yixuan and Wang Xiaoyan was. At the barber shop, Li Yixuan only told Yang Ming about the relationship between the two people, and he didn't say hello to Qin Mengyan before he left. So, Qin Mengyan only thought that Wang Xiaoyan was his girlfriend. AI, what girlfriend? I'm on the way to pursue. Li Yixuan smiled bitterly. Right, buddy, the trick you taught me last time, I used it when I went back, but it didn't work. What trick? Yang Ming was stunned. He simply didn't remember what trick he taught him last time. It was no wonder. At that time Yang Ming was annoyed by this guy. He had no choice but to talk nonsense and made up an idea for him. It's to borrow money from her. Li Yixuan said, I followed your instructions and went back to borrow 2,000 yuan from her, but she didn't seem to care at all. She still looked very rich and she didn't rush to find me to return the money. Sweat? Yang Ming had a headache when he heard it. This guy really did it. But since he was asked again, Yang Ming had no choice but to say, maybe 2,000 yuan is nothing to her, right? You should borrow more. Makes sense. After listening, Li Yixuan nodded thoughtfully and said, I think so too. I borrowed too little. It's nothing to her. Then I will be ruthless. I will borrow 10,000 yuan from her. Yang Ming had cold sweat after he heard it. Please don't let Wang Xiaoyan know that this is my idea. If she knows, then I'm done for. What are you talking about? What borrowing money? Qin Mengyan was somewhat inexplicable. Yang Ming, do you owe him money? Or does he owe you money? Oh. No one owes anyone money. Yang Ming said quickly, it's fine. We are just chatting casually. We are talking about a web novel. Oh. Qin Mengyan shook her head. Why do you still read those web novels? It's so boring. I had nothing to do that day and went to take a look. It was all made up. What special ability? It was all nonsense. Don't read that thing in the future. Yang Ming scratched his head. What is my special ability? However, he couldn't tell Qin Mengyan. He just nodded perfunctorily to show that he understood. Although Wang Xiaoyan didn't talk much because she knew Yang Ming, she slowed down her pace for the sake of Zhao Ying's face. The four people walked side by side. But it was still very cold. There was nothing to say. When they came to the commercial street, Li Yixuan pointed to some things sold on the street and asked Wang Xiaoyan if she wanted them. Wang Xiaoyan was expressionless. At first she shook her head. Later she didn't even shake her head and directly ignored him. Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan looked at each other and smiled. This Li Yixuan was obviously a foil. Qin Mengyan bought several things. The hair clip that she bought in high school last time had been used until now. Qin Mengyan also wanted to change a few new ones. Therefore, when they came to a small stall selling hair accessories, they stopped. Although Wang Xiaoyan and Li Yixuan didn't talk much, after all, she was a girl. When she picked up the hair clip with Qin Mengyan, the two people would whisper. Yang Ming was smiling all the way, but his heart had been secretly alert. Because he felt that someone was following them. Moreover, this person is also a master. Can be said that he is at least on par with me or even better than me. Because Yang Ming looked back several times, he didn't see who was following them in the crowd. Yang Ming didn't know the purpose of this person and he didn't know who he was following. Is it me? Or is it Chen Mengyan? However, this possibility wasn't high. Yang Ming only felt that someone was following them after he met Li Yixuan at the commercial street. Therefore, the target of this person who was following them was likely to be Li Yixuan or Wang Xiaoyan. Could it be a bodyguard sent by Li Yixuan's family? It was no wonder that Yang Ming thought so. It was normal for a rich young master like him to go out with a few bodyguards. However, wasn't this bodyguard's kung fu a bit too high? Since ordinary means couldn't find out who was following them, Yang Ming simply didn't look back. From time to time he closed his eyes. Yang Ming could clearly see everything around him. Soon Yang Ming locked his target on a middle-aged man. Chapter 6:12. More than 20? Looks older? More than 30, just this age? Or in his 40s, looks younger? In short, this person was the kind of person who wouldn't take a second look if he was placed in a crowd. His appearance was so ordinary that you couldn't remember him at all. You would take the initiative to ignore him. If it weren't for Yang Ming's super special ability and keen insight, it would be difficult to find this person. However, after Yang Ming knew the location of this person, he didn't alert the enemy. Yang Ming wanted to see what the purpose of this person was. When a person was a small character, life was dull. But as this person's ability improved, the people or things he encountered were different. This logic was strange, but it was the truth. If you weren't in your position, you wouldn't scheme. If Yang Ming wasn't an assassin and didn't have so many hidden identities, he wouldn't pay attention to things like being followed. I say, your family seems to be quite rich? Yang Ming looked at Li Yixuan and asked. It's okay. When it came to his family, Li Yixuan immediately became full of confidence. My old man can be considered as one of the top in Donghai. Oh? I heard that the young masters of rich families have bodyguards when they go out. Do you have one? Yang Ming asked with a smile. Bodyguard? I don't have that. How rich is that? You have to bring a bodyguard when you go out. Li Yixuan shook his head. Probably only the 4 young masters of Donghai go out with bodyguards. For young masters? What is that? Yang Ming had never heard of the 4 young masters in Donghai. It's just a few prodigals. The father is rich and the son is prodigal. It's nothing. Li Yixuan was obviously unwilling to mention this. Although his family was rich compared to those people, it was nothing. Yang Ming didn't care. What 4 young masters? They were called so because of their father's face. In Yang Ming's view, they were the 4 big idiots. However, one thing was certain now. That was, the person behind was not Li Yixuan's bodyguard. Then what was his purpose? Moreover, it seemed that Li Yixuan's family was not particularly rich. Everything became more suspicious. Yang Ming wasn't afraid of anything. He would deal with whatever came his way. If someone dared to find trouble with him, he would make sure that he wouldn't be able to return. But Chen Mingyan's side, Yang Ming had to be careful. Qin Fei was the captain of the criminal investigation team. His usual job was basically to offend people. Offending this and offending that. Especially the families of some criminals, there was an extreme existence of revenge. They did not dare to retaliate against Qin Fei, so naturally they would make a move on his daughter. Although this situation was rare, it didn't mean it didn't exist. Li Yixuan kept giving advice to Wang Xiaoyan, but Wang Xiaoyan simply pretended not to hear it. Taking advantage of this time, Yang Ming said to Chen Mengyan, "You play first. I'm going to the toilet. I drank too much water in the morning." Chen Mengyan didn't doubt him. She nodded and continued to play the game. Yang Ming wasn't going to the toilet at all. He was going to find the person who was following behind. If he didn't figure out the true intention of this person, then it would always be a problem, so Yang Ming planned to meet this tail. Yang Ming pretended to walk to the back as if nothing had happened. On the way he talked to a cleaning auntie. "Auntie, I want to ask. Is there a toilet nearby?" "Toilet? Yes, there is. You go straight along here. It is about 300 meters. On the commercial street, there is a public toilet," said the auntie. "Thank you." Yang Ming deliberately said it loudly. The tail wasn't far from here. He could definitely hear the conversation between Yang Ming and the auntie. Yang Ming raised his head and looked around. He lifted his leg and walked forward. The tracker obviously saw that Yang Ming was looking for the toilet, so he didn't care. In other words, his eyes weren't on Yang Ming at all, but the three people who were playing the game over there. Therefore, Yang Ming was more and more sure that this person wasn't looking for him, but one of the remaining three people. But he was afraid that it was Qin Mengyan. Otherwise, Yang Ming wouldn't take the risk to alert the enemy. But Yang Ming reached out and patted the tracker's shoulder. The tracker's heart was stunned. His vigilance was very strong. When Yang Ming came over, he did notice him. However, when he saw that Yang Ming was asking about the direction of the toilet, he was automatically ignored. Moreover, the observation object of the tracker wasn't Yang Ming. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so easily patted on the shoulder by Yang Ming. "Buddy, let's find a place to talk." As Yang Ming spoke, his right hand had already casually pressed the acupuncture point behind the tracker's neck. If this guy dared to resist, then the consequences would be death or injury. Yang Ming seemed to put his hand on the tracker's neck, but the tracker's heart was in turmoil. His fatal acupuncture point was held by someone. Although he didn't know if Yang Ming was unintentional or intentional, he didn't dare to be rash. If it was unintentional, then it was fine. After all, there were many coincidences in this world. But if it was intentional, then who was this guy? How could he actually control me? Even if there were some elements of underestimating the enemy and the opponent's luck. But in the assassin world, winning was winning and losing was losing. Regardless of the process, only the result. No matter what the reason was, if you failed, then you may lose your life. No matter what means you used to get it, the bounty was yours. Therefore, the tracker pretended to be surprised and said, "You are? I don't know you." "Don't know me? You didn't know me, but you followed me for so long?" Yang Ming sneered, "Your tracking method is too clumsy." Clumsy? The tracker was stunned. His tracking methods were considered to be one of the best in the world. Now it was actually said to be clumsy? Before this, the tracker was very confident in his tracking skills, but it was damaged by Yang Ming's words. Chapter 613. It was no wonder that he had never failed before. Moreover, even if the person who was being followed noticed that someone was following him, it was difficult to find him in the crowd. He was very conceited about his makeup skills. However, Yang Ming discovered it. How would he know where Yang Ming's special ability was? No matter how superb the tracking technique was, could you prevent others from having eyes on the back of their heads? Now Yang Ming's situation was similar to having eyes on the back of his head. Moreover, this eye was equipped with infrared telescopes. If he couldn't find this stalker, then Yang Ming's special ability would simply be disabled. However, when Yang Ming said this, the stalker finally understood that Yang Ming didn't hold his acupoint by luck, but deliberately. This seemingly indifferent man in front of him was a master among masters. In fact, when it came to skills, Yang Ming wasn't the opponent of this stalker. However, the stalker had a preconceived impression, so he didn't dare to easily fight with Yang Ming, not to mention that Yang Ming was holding his acupoint at the moment. "I didn't follow you." The stalker looked at Yang Ming and said, "Friend, which road are you on? We don't know each other. Please make things easy for me. If you didn't follow me, then who are you following?" "One of the four of us." Yang Ming snorted. But he thought in his heart, "Of course you are not following me. If I knew that you were following me, I would have already killed you." The stalker didn't speak, but apparently he acquiesced to Yang Ming's statement. Yang Ming frowned and said, "Please, I don't want to kill people in public." "Where are you going?" The stalker saw that he couldn't escape, so he had to accept his fate. "Just on the side of the road. I just want to know your purpose." Yang Ming said faintly, "However, you don't want to be perfunctory. Although I don't want to kill people here, nothing is absolute." The stalker was speechless. Originally, he was the one who threatened others. Now he had become the object of threat. It was really a case of shooting the goose all day long, but the goose pecked his eyes. "Speak." Yang Ming got the tracker to the side of the road and asked. The tracker gritted his teeth and said, "I promise I don't want to harm you or your companions, but I can't tell you my purpose. You're quite stubborn." Yang Ming smiled and casually patted the tracker. Yang Ming's trick was tried and tested time and time again. No matter how stubborn you were, it was guaranteed to make you want to die. "What is your relationship with Senior Fong?" The stalker trembled all over. Apparently, Yang Ming's unique skill had made his whole body itch unbearably. However, he still widened his eyes and asked with difficulty. Who the hell are you? Killing intent flashed in Yang Ming's eyes. However, when he recalled that this person called Fong Tian Senior Fong, he did not continue to attack. We're on the same side. We're on the same side. Although the stalker was tough, Yang Ming made him feel like ants were drilling into his heart. Yang Ming didn't believe this guy's nonsense. Fong Tian's identity was a secret, and he had retired from the underworld for many years. Even during his heyday, there were very few people who had seen him, let alone know his surname. Therefore it was fine if this guy didn't say so. Once he said so, Yang Ming was even more suspicious of his identity. I'll give you one last chance. If you don't make it clear, don't go back today. Yang Ming said with a sneer. The stalker was obviously hesitant. You two, what are you doing? At this time, an old lady wearing a red armband came over and said, private stalls are not allowed here. Are you going to set up a stall? Set up a stall? Yang Ming was somewhat inexplicable. What stall am I setting up? Don't you want to set up a fortune-telling stall? You don't learn good things at such a young age. Why are you setting up a stall to cheat money? The old lady reprimanded. You stand up. I'm just resting here. What fortune-telling? Yang Ming was a little dumbfounded. This old lady obviously regarded him as a swindler. Stand up. Hurry up. The old lady pointed to her armband and said, I'm the business assistant of the temple fair. Auntie, you misunderstood. Yang Ming wanted to explain, but the stalker interrupted Yang Ming's words. The stalker suddenly said, Auntie, this guy is a swindler. He pulled me and wanted to read my fortune. He didn't let me go. Okay. You still dare to say that you're not a swindler? You stand up. The old lady said, if you don't stand up, I'll call for help. Yang Ming was really helpless this time. He had to stand up with the stalker, but his hand never left the stalker's neck. What's wrong with you? You're not being honest when you stand up? Let go of me. As the old lady said, she reached out to grab Yang Ming's hand that was on the stalker's neck. Yang Ming was helpless. In front of this old lady, he really couldn't do anything to the stalker. He had to let go of his hand resentfully. It didn't matter if Yang Ming let go, but the stalker suddenly broke free from Yang Ming's restraint and escaped in the opposite direction. Yang Ming sighed for a while. He helplessly looked at the stalker's disappearing back and shook his head. If it weren't for this old lady, he might have asked something. However, Yang Ming also admired this guy's endurance. Although Yang Ming didn't use too much strength, the pain on his body was enough to make ordinary people roll on the ground unbearably. But this person not only didn't, but he could also escape. Sure enough, he was a ruthless character. However, the more ruthless such a character was, the more Yang Ming was not at ease. Yang Ming even faintly felt that if he fought with him face to face, the outcome was still unknown. What's going on? Why did he run? The old lady looked at Yang Ming in surprise. Auntie, you really know how to cause trouble. Yang Ming said snappily, that guy owes me money. I finally found him, but he ran away. The old lady saw that something was wrong when the stalker ran away. Now that she heard Yang Ming say so, she suddenly realized. She said embarrassedly, you see how it is? I know. Sorry, forget it. Yang Ming waved his hand and helplessly turned to leave. This guy knows Fong Tian. Which group is he from? Fong Tian only has one disciple. If there must be one more, then Dong Jun can be counted as one. Other than that, Fong Tian didn't have any other disciples. And in the assassin world there was no acquaintance. Fong Tian wouldn't be so stupid to announce his identity. This matter seems to be really troublesome. Yang Ming planned to go to Fong Tian's place at night no matter what to explain this matter to Fong Tian. This couldn't be delayed. Back at the entertainment street in front of the fishing bag game stall, he saw Chen Mengyan holding a super big plush bear with a smile. It's actually the grand prize. Can't be, right? This works too. I didn't help her, but she actually got the grand prize? How is it, Yang Ming? Am I awesome? Chen Mengyan proudly shook the plush bear in front of Yang Ming. Quite awesome. How did you do it? How many times did you play? Yang Ming was really surprised. Just once. Chen Mengyan laughed. Yang Ming opened his eyes wide. He couldn't help but admire Chen Mengyan's luck. It's really too good. So lucky. Yang Ming gave a thumbs up and said sincerely, what luck? There's a skill to this. When Chen Mengyan heard Yang Ming say that she relied on luck, She immediately disagreed. I thought it through carefully. There's a skill to this thing? Can be thought through? Yang Ming was surprised. Yeah, you see, I got the red card from the bag in the middle of the first row. Qin Mengyan nodded and explained, do you know why I wanted to fish this bag? That's because the most dangerous place is the safest place. Qin Mengyan said her thoughts, but it was surprisingly similar to Yang Ming's statement yesterday. Yang Ming looked at Qin Mengyan in amazement. Wasn't this what he said to Lin Jiyun yesterday? If he wasn't sure that Qin Mengyan wasn't around, Yang Ming even thought that she had eavesdropped on his logic. How is it? I'm the daughter of the criminal police captain. My logic isn't bad, right? Qin Mengyan looked at Yang Ming's surprised look and she was very proud of it. Amazing. Yang Ming thought of a sentence like father like daughter. Wang Xiaoyan didn't get the big prize but only a few small prizes. But even so she didn't show the slightest unpleasant expression. Her whole person was completely indifferent. Chapter 6:14. Yang Ming held the teddy bear, but his mind kept thinking about the identity of the stalker just now. This person wasn't simple. Yang Ming tried very hard to remember his appearance, but he still couldn't find any characteristics. The Entertainment Streets projects today were obviously more than yesterday. Yesterday was the first day of the Chinese New Year. Some vendors might want to take a break so they didn't set up their stalls. But today they were all out. Several people continued to walk forward and came to the side of a game simulation of a golf game. Wang Xiaoyan was obviously very interested in this. Just now she saw that Qin Mengyan got a big prize at once. While she was envious, she was competitive and wanted to win a big prize to show her ability. In the final analysis, Wang Xiaoyan was also an 18 or 19-year-old girl. She wasn't as indifferent as she looked on the surface. As for the surface, it was completely out of disgust for Li Yixuan. Seeing that Wang Xiaoyan liked it, Yang Ming and the others stopped. Qin Mengyan also paid a few game coins and planned to play a game. However, Qin Mengyan couldn't play this kind of skill game. The rules of the game were very simple. There were 4 rows of holes in front of the player. Each row had 8 holes and there was space between the holes for the ball to pass. The first row of volleyball holes were all red. 2 holes in the second row were blue and the others were red. 2 of the holes in the third row were yellow and the rest were all red. The fourth row was also full of red holes. Each player only had 3 chances to hit the ball. As long as 2 balls hit the holes of 2 different colors, they would be able to win the prize. If the 3 balls hit 3 holes of different colors, then they could get the biggest prize. However, this possibility was very small. It was relatively easy to hit 2 holes of different colors, but it was a bit difficult to hit 3 holes of different colors. Because the yellow and blue holes were in a row, unless they could control the strength of the hand and the trajectory of the ball. Therefore there were many people who hit 2 balls but there were few who hit 3 balls. Qin Mengyan spent a long time, but she only hit 2 holes of different colors. The third ball was hit into the last red hole because she used too much force. The gift she received was a mobile phone flashing light. Compared to the price of 5 game coins, it was obviously a loss. However, most of the people who played games just wanted to have fun. If they really cared about the value of the prize, they wouldn't play this kind of game. However, Wang Xiaoyan's performance was very good. The 3 balls perfectly entered 3 holes of different colors. Li Yixuan was full of flattering praise. This time Wang Xiaoyan also got a big plush toy. She was even with Qin Mengyan. Yang Ming noticed that on Wang Xiaoyan's indifferent face, there was a faint smile on her face. It turned out that this chick was indeed pretending. Yang Ming thought so in his heart. Finally, the last moment came. Although Yang Ming was very reluctant to face it, he still had to face it after all. That was, several people came to the registration of the rock climbing game. Looking at Qin Mengyan's eager eyes, Yang Ming had to bite the bullet. Xiaoyan, how about I help you get the ultimate prize? Li Yixuan said, my rock climbing skills are good. No, I want to climb by myself. Wang Xiaoyan shook her head. Then regardless of what Li Yixuan said, she ran to sign up on her own. Li Yixuan also quickly followed behind her. Seeing that Wang Xiaoyan signed up, Li Yixuan naturally did not want to be outdone and also signed up. Although most of them were men climbing, there were also a few couples climbing together. Therefore it was not abrupt for Wang Xiaoyan to sign up. However, because Wang Xiaoyan signed up, Qin Mengyan was also a little tempted. She hesitated and said to Yang Ming, I also want to play this. I don't think so. It's very dangerous. I'm afraid you will fall. Yang Ming said with some worry. You see, Wang Xiaoyan has signed up. It should be fine. Qin Mengyan insisted. That's okay, but you must be careful. Yang Ming saw that Qin Mengyan insisted, so he didn't say anything. The safety measures of this rock climbing were good. Even if she fell, there would be no problem. Therefore Yang Ming also agreed and signed up with Qin Mengyan. This time Yang Ming used his own real name to participate in the game. On the one hand, Qin Mengyan was watching, so he couldn't fake it. On the other hand, it was fine as long as the name was different from yesterday's. After the organizer explained the safety standards and precautions to Yang Ming and the others, everyone was given a set of protective gear. He didn't recognize Yang Ming. After all, there were too many customers every day. People came and went. Besides, there were many people who looked similar. Yang Ming deliberately dressed up. It was normal that he didn't recognize him. It was obviously Qin Mengyan's first time rock climbing. She was a little nervous as she watched the people in front of her fall one after another. When she was about to climb, she was a little timid. Yang Ming, I am a little scared. Hee, if you are scared, don't go up. Yang Ming persuaded her. Then I don't want to. It's embarrassing to escape. Qin Mengyan shook her head quickly. Don't worry. No one will laugh at you. Here, girl. Yang Ming comforted her. Qin Mengyan hesitated, took a deep breath and said, Can you protect me under me? Okay, no problem. Yang Ming climbed here like he was playing. Although he couldn't catch up with Spider-Man, he was almost there. When it came to rock climbing, every player had a fixed climbing route. Before a person came down, the person below was not allowed to climb immediately. This was also done to prevent danger from occurring. Otherwise, if the person above fell, wouldn't the person below be smashed down? In this way, it would be strange not to be injured. However, Yang Ming proposed to the organizer that he wanted to climb immediately under Qin Mengyan. In the beginning, the organizer didn't agree. After all, it was a bit too dangerous to do so. However, after Yang Ming stated several times that they would be responsible for the consequences if there was any danger, the organizer agreed. After all, when signing the agreement, there was a lawyer nearby. The whole process was fair. Yang Ming just added a clause in the agreement. In this way, even if Yang Ming and the others were in danger, it had nothing to do with the organizer. Just now, after the organizer mentioned the danger of Yang Ming doing so, Qin Mengyan had already changed her mind. She didn't want Yang Ming to do so, but Yang Ming insisted that he must climb behind Qin Mengyan. And he stated that he would be responsible for the consequences if there was any danger. This made Qin Mengyan very moved. It was said that husband and wife were birds in the same forest, but they flew separately in the face of disaster. She and Yang Ming were not husband and wife yet. He could ignore his own safety for her safety. How could this not make Qin Mengyan feel moved? When Li Yixuan saw Yang Ming doing this, he also wanted to learn from Yang Ming, but he thought that his technique was not good enough. Even if he made this request, Wang Xiaoyan would not agree, so he had to shut up. Qin Mengyan, Wang Xiaoyan, and Li Yixuan climbed up the rock wall at the same time, while Yang Ming followed closely behind Qin Mengyan, fearing that she would have an accident. In the beginning, Qin Mengyan still felt that rock climbing was just so, and it was very simple. But the more she climbed, the more she felt that her strength was not enough. Not only was her arm's strength not enough, but she was also worried that she would fall and hit Yang Ming. Qin Mengyan's forehead couldn't help but sweat. Although Li Yixuan was a man, he was not necessarily better than Qin Mengyan. He didn't climb much and he began to sweat. Wang Xiaoyan, on the other hand, didn't have much difficulty. Although she didn't climb fast, her step-by-step was very solid and steady. Finally, Li Yixuan couldn't hold on and fell down at once. Fortunately, there was an air cushion below so it wouldn't cause physical harm. Li Yixuan fell down and Qin Mengyan couldn't hold on anymore. She glanced at Li Yixuan's miserable state and her hand slipped. She almost couldn't hold on. She couldn't help but be shocked. Yang Ming, you get out of the way. I can't hold on anymore. I can't hold on anymore. Come on, Mengyan. We will reach the top soon. Yang Ming said indifferently. Yang Ming, I'm going to fall down. You get out of the way. Qin Mengyan saw that Yang Ming didn't get out of the way and she was suddenly anxious. The sweat on her forehead doubled. If I get out of the way, what will you do? Yang Ming smiled and said, Mengyan, if you can't hold on, then come down. Yang Ming, I am serious with you. At this time it's not the time for you to be a hero. If I fall I will definitely hit you. Qin Mengyan was anxious. She was angry and touched. But the strength of her hand was getting weaker and weaker. She couldn't hold on any longer. Chapter 6:15. However, Qin Mengyan still clenched her teeth and didn't dare to let go easily. Now, although Qin Mengyan was very moved by Yang Ming's persistence, she was more annoyed by Yang Ming's stubbornness. Now is not the time to be persistent. Why doesn't Yang Ming know how to be flexible? If she were to fall down, wouldn't she fall onto his body? Yang Ming also saw that Qin Mengyan was afraid that she couldn't hold on, so he didn't retreat but moved forward. He quickly climbed up a few steps to close the distance with Qin Mengyan. Qin Mengyan tilted her head and looked down. She couldn't help but be anxious. Yang Ming, why are you still climbing? Quickly avoid it. Qin Mengyan's tone had become very strict this time. In this critical moment, Qin Mengyan naturally couldn't be pleasant. If I avoid it, what will you do? Fall down? Yang Ming said and shook his head. Qin Mengyan was angry. Her hand slipped and her whole body fell down. Although Qin Mengyan's hand had already tried very hard to catch the gap on the rock wall, the speed of the slide was too fast. She couldn't catch it at all. Yang Ming climbed up again and didn't know how to avoid it. Seeing that Qin Mengyan was about to fall, Yang Ming lowered his head and bent his body into a bow. Qin Mengyan sat directly on Yang Ming's shoulder. Yang Ming quickly used his other hand to support Qin Mengyan from behind to prevent her from leaning over. Only Yang Ming dared to do such a dangerous action. He was almost catching up with the acrobatic troupe. If it were another person, they would definitely be directly smashed down. Qin Mengyan screamed because she felt that she had smashed onto Yang Ming's body. However, after the scream, she found that she stopped in midair and didn't continue to fall. However, the private part between her legs was hurting badly from the pressure. However, this kind of shameful thing Qin Mengyan could only endure it herself. How could she say it? Are you okay? Yang Ming looked up and looked at Qin Mengyan and asked with concern. I'm fine. Qin Mengyan thought, even if my lower part hurts, I can't say it. However, seeing Yang Ming's dangerous action now, Qin Mengyan was very worried. Are you okay? It's okay. I have great strength. Yang Ming smiled and said, you support me. Don't let go. Let's jump down together. Qin Mengyan saw that Yang Ming was so concerned about her. Her heart was as sweet as eating honey. The previous complaints about Yang Ming playing the hero were also swept away. Why are you jumping down? Don't you want to get the prize? Yang Ming asked. What prize? How can we get it like this? Qin Mengyan said, let's go down quickly. It's very embarrassing for us to be like this. It's not good to let people see it. What's not good about it? I'm carrying my wife. Who can control it? Yang Ming said indifferently. Then we can't stay here all the time. He was much better than the skinny little monkey. Besides, even if Yang Ming came every day, he couldn't do anything. He opened the door to do business and people didn't force him to buy or sell. What could he say? However, the boss's words were still heard by Qin Mengyan. You came yesterday? Qin Mengyan asked in confusion. Yeah. I came to accompany a relative of my family. Yang Ming hummed and said. Although Qin Mengyan was puzzled, why didn't Yang Ming tell her that he came to the temple fair? She didn't ask much. She was still immersed in the happiness just now and her mind was a little dull. Seeing that Yang Ming didn't have a helper, the boss was relieved. However, in her heart she despised Yang Ming fiercely. Yesterday he brought a beautiful girl and it was obvious that they were a couple. Today he brought the same. He even lied to her and said that he came with his relative yesterday? The boss looked at Yang Ming's eyes and became despised. Fortunately, Yang Ming didn't know his thoughts. If he knew, he would definitely make this guy lose money again. Qin Mengyan didn't ask Yang Ming for help. She was having fun by herself. Yang Ming just watched from the side and cheered. Qin Mengyan received several prizes. Although they weren't particularly expensive, it was good as long as she was happy. After leaving the entertainment street, Wang Xiaoyan received a phone call. She told Li Yixuan and everyone that she had something to do, so she left first. Li Yixuan offered to send her off, but he was mercilessly rejected. Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan didn't care, but Li Yixuan was a bit uninterested. He found an excuse and said goodbye to Yang Ming. Looking at Li Yixuan's back, Yang Ming shook his head and said, I think he is quite dangerous. That Wang Xiaoyan doesn't like him at all. Yeah, I think so too. He is quite pitiful. Qin Mengyan also saw the clues inside. But Li Yixuan was a person who couldn't see clearly. He wouldn't turn back until he hit the wall. After Wang Xiaoyan and Li Yixuan left, Qin Mengyan and Yang Ming's emotions weren't affected at all. The two people walked hand in hand to the performance street. The performance street was much more lively than yesterday. There was actually a dance performance by the Miao people. Yang Ming didn't think much about it. He just said casually, I don't know if Lan Ling can dance this. It is quite good. After Qin Mengyan heard it, she pouted. But when she thought about what Yang Ming did to her, Qin Mengyan was also relieved. She was also more open-minded about things. She'd be very beautiful. I also like it. If there is a chance, let her teach me. Ah? Yang Ming looked at Qin Mengyan incredulously and widened his eyes. What did you just say? Nothing. Forget it if you don't understand. Qin Mengyan had just put a lot of courage. How could she repeat it? Hee hee. Yang Ming laughed. He laughed very treacherously and happily. He said that it was useless for him to go, but Yang Ming persuaded him, Dad, after the factory's restructuring, you will be the chairman. This kind of thing must be done by you. Yang Dehai thought about it and felt that this was the case, so he reluctantly agreed. However, he told Yang Ming not to talk nonsense after going in the evening and to listen to factory manager Feng. Yang Ming smiled indifferently. He wasn't a child anymore. He naturally understood these things. Chapter 617. The Moon Island Hotel was not a particularly luxurious hotel in Songjiang. However, its characteristics were European-style architecture. The style inside was all European style. Even the waiters could speak many foreign languages, so this place was very popular with foreign tourists. This wasn't the sphere of influence of Bao Sanli and Ho Zhenhan. It could be said that Ho Zhenhan simply didn't put this small place in his eyes. After all, this was just a small hotel and the visitors were all foreigners. It had no impact on the local hotel business. However, it was a bit strange that the boss of the automobile group would actually designate this place to receive Feng Wanjiang. At 7 o'clock in the evening, Ho Zhenhan came to Yang Ming's house on time. He picked up Yang Ming and Yang Dehai and rushed to the Moon Island Hotel together. Feng Wanjiang was already in the car. When he saw Yang Dehai, he quickly greeted, Old Yang. Factory manager Feng. Yang Dehai nodded quickly. Old Yang, don't call me factory manager. I'm not going to be one soon. Feng Wanjiang shook his head and said, I have already communicated with the leaders in the city about President Ho's investment. They have agreed to the restructuring of the factory. After the Spring Festival, the documents will be released. My position as the factory manager will come to an end. Factory manager, you are such a talent. Even if the factory is restructured, it will still keep you. Yang Dehai quickly comforted him. This was because Yang Ming had also said before that Feng Wanjiang would come down and take control of the technical production. That's great. I have to thank you, President Yang, hee. Feng Wanjiang made a joke, but what he said was indeed a fact. Yang Dehai would be the president in the future. Look at what you said. Yang Dehai was a little embarrassed. I think old Feng is doing a good job. Ho Zhenhan saw Yang Ming give him a wink and immediately said, Uncle Yang, you can arrange a manager or something for him in the future. Okay, as long as you say so. Yang Dehai nodded and said. The car drove to the Moon Island Hotel. The boss of the S. de Lutong Automobile Group in the south was very arrogant. Yang Ming and the others had already ordered the dishes in the private room, but this guy didn't appear. He only arrived when the dishes were almost served. As soon as he entered, he sat on the main seat and said with a flushed face and the smell of alcohol, What's the matter? Hurry up and say it. I still have guests over there. Thank you, President Wan, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come. Let me toast you first. Feng Wanjiang said as he was about to raise his glass. Why are you drinking? President Wan waved his hand and said, Are you okay? I came here to hide from the wine. Let me tell you, I have an important guest over there. After I go back, I will continue drinking. I came here just to catch my breath. Yes, yes. Feng Wanjiang awkwardly put down the wine glass, then said embarrassedly, President Wan, can you give us some of the car parts orders this year? Oh, waiter, give me a cup of hangover tea. Motherfucker, these foreigners can really drink. I almost died from drinking. President Wan belched and called the waiter. Feng Wanjiang had to shut up. When President Wan finished speaking, he was about to continue speaking. The waiter had already come in with the hangover tea. President Wan took the hangover tea, then took a sip and rinsed his throat. Then he spat it into the bowl in front of him. Suddenly, the water splashed and splashed onto the dishes on the table. The tea that President Wan spat out flew everywhere. After President Wan finished spitting, he drank a few more mouthfuls of tea. Then he smacked his lips and said, This dish is cold. Take it away and change it according to the original order. The waiter immediately looked at Ho Junhan and Feng Wanjiang. Seeing Ho Junhan nod, the waiter went to do it. Yang Ming had been watching all this coldly. This President Wan is really arrogant. Although it was true that he had a favor to ask of him, business deals were mutually beneficial. How could he be so arrogant? Moreover, Yang Ming also saw that this President Wan had no sincerity at all. However, Yang Ming had been enduring. He was waiting to see how President Wan would answer Feng Wanjiang in the end. If he really gave the factory a part of the order, then today's matter would be over. A real man knows when to yield and when not to. Yang Ming would endure today. If not, then no matter who he was, he wouldn't be able to leave this private room normally. As for Ho Junhan, he had always acted according to Yang Ming's signal. Yang Ming didn't let him move, so he naturally wouldn't act rashly. The only thing he could do now was to follow President Wan's intentions here. President Wan finished fooling around and then said slowly, Oh yes, what did you say to me just now? President Wan, I said, can our factory accept a part of the order for the OEM of parts? Feng Wanjiang quickly said briefly. He didn't dare to delay anymore. Otherwise, President Wan wouldn't know where to go. Which factory are you from? President Wan said drunkenly. Songjiang Bus Factory. Previously, Xiaobing had told you about it. Feng Wanjiang said respectfully. Xiaobing was a translator. President Wan had foreign friends around him, so he spent money to find a translator, which was Xiaobing. Xiaobing was a native of Songjiang. Feng Wanjiang didn't know how to contact Xiaobing through his connections, so he got to know President Wan. Bus factory? Isn't that a bus factory? President Wan waved his hand. We don't buy buses. We don't buy. Feng Wanjiang said quickly. It has nothing to do with us whether you buy or not. We make cars, not buses. President Wan shook his head. President Wan, this is the case. Our factory is going to be restructured. We need to introduce some new equipment to specialize in the processing of parts. Feng Wanjiang explained, take a look and see if you can give us some orders for parts processing. Oh, orders. President Wan said drunkenly, that's fine. When you are done, come to me again. It's not done, but it's being restructured now. We can sign a contract first. Feng Wanjiang said, although the bus sales of our bus factory are not good, the air conditioner compressors and condensers we produce are famous in the country. Can you see if you can buy some first? Air conditioner. I'm not hot now. I don't need to turn it on. President Wan didn't know if he was really drunk or deliberately pretending to be confused. In short, it made Feng Wanjiang very embarrassed. It's not the air conditioner. It's the air conditioner compressors produced by our factory. Feng Wanjiang explained patiently. Before he finished speaking, President Wan's cell phone rang. President Wan waved his hand and took out the cell phone. He glanced at it and picked it up. Hello, what's wrong? What's the matter? Hey. I'll go back immediately. After that, President Wan stood up and was ready to walk out of the private room while shaking his head. Feng Wanjiang saw the situation and immediately became anxious. President Wan, don't go yet. The order hasn't been settled yet. Fuck, what fucking order? Don't you just want some money? President Wan said with a hiccup, come to me tomorrow. I'll give you 100,000. As for the fucking air conditioner, you can go home and use it. President Wan, we're not asking for money from you. We really have a sincere cooperation. How can you talk like this? Yang Dehai, who hadn't spoken, couldn't sit still at the moment. Being called a beggar, Yang Dahai's face wasn't as thick as Feng Wanjiang's. He was a little unhappy immediately. Fuck your mother. Why do you think it's not enough? President Wan said coldly, looking at you acting like a grandson just now. I gave you 100,000. Otherwise it wouldn't even be 10,000. A group of idiots who don't know what you're talking about. For the first time Yang Dahai was scolded in such a way. The muscles on his face were twitching. He pointed at President Wan and said while trembling. What? Are you exposed? Are you angry? President Wan looked at Yang Dahai and joked. Fuck your mother. When Yang Ming saw his dad being humiliated, how could he hold it in? No matter what President Wan said before, it was said to Feng Wanjiang. He could pretend that he didn't see it, and Feng Wanjiang was really thick-skinned. He didn't care about this. But Yang Dahai was different. Where had he seen such an occasion? So Yang Ming was angry at the time. He directly picked up the teapot on the table and smashed it at President Wan's face. But President Wan's head was bleeding. He held his head and howled. Ho Jinhan saw that Yang Ming had made a move. What was there to hesitate about? He walked to the door of the room with a grin and locked the room from the inside. He didn't let the people outside come in. Apologize. Yang Ming kicked President Wan's stomach and directly kicked him. You dare to hit me? President Wan said angrily. Do you know who I am? I'll give you a chance. Do you believe that I will crush your head on the spot? Yang Ming stepped on President Wan's head and said fiercely, You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.